Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Tuesday, Nutrition Tip Tuesday. We're continuing our discussion on macronutrients, breaking it down today into micronutrients, the often forgot about, very important piece of the nutrition puzzle. So we'll dive right into it. This is going to be kind of a broad overview, like we've done, not too sciencey. The goal with this is to just get you thinking about it. Micronutrition can get very in-depth. So hopefully the goal today is just to kind of get you thinking about it. Again, working it into your already amazing diets that we've discussed, or hopefully you're starting to utilize from the past few lives that we've done. So, happy Tuesday. Micronutrition is vitamins and minerals. There's some other compounds in there we won't get too deep into. That's kind of a topic for another day. Today we're just going to talk about vitamins and minerals, kind of what they are, where we can find them, why we want to utilize them, and just so you kind of know what they are and how, in general, and how they apply to a quality program. So let's talk first about vitamins, or let's just give a general overview of micronutrients before we dive into vitamins. If you've ever taken anything like a supplement, a daily vitamin or pre-workout or something like that, you may find that you get some energy from it. So vitamins and minerals don't necessarily produce the energy that you're making. They just help the bodily processes that produce energy. So they're not giving you energy directly, but they're making those body processes flow, I guess. And they kind of do it in a synergistic manner. That being said, there is such thing as too much or too little of these nutrients. Finding that right balance really helps your body kind of flow the way that it needs to and recover from workouts, sleep regulation stuff, hormonal balances, and things like that. So what happens if you have too much? You can get sick. What happens if you have too little? You can get sick. So again, there is kind of a balance there. So we'll dive in. Vitamins. The types of vitamins that there are, we have fat soluble, and then we have water soluble. So fat soluble vitamins, we have vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. Water soluble vitamins are both B and C. B has a few different variants. I think it's 6 or 7 different variants of B vitamins, all kind of do something different, all necessary in your diet. So where do we get vitamins from? Vitamins are found in both plants and animals. We don't make them ourselves, so it's important that we eat a variety of vegetables, fruits, colorful vegetables and fruits, and animal proteins, things like that. If you're a vegetarian, it may be possible that you have to supplement with some of these things, especially the vitamin mineral area, because you may not be getting certain things that come specifically from animal sources like iron or whatever, and we'll get down to that into minerals in a minute. But let's talk first about the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Why are they called fat soluble? Sorry, my dogs are chasing squirrels. Fat soluble because when you ingest them or when they're starting to break down, they attach to fat to be shuttled to where they need to be. They also hang out in your fat deposits, meaning they can build up over time without really getting utilized. That's why things like taking too much of a fat soluble vitamin or getting too much of it can be dangerous, especially if you're supplementing. It can produce toxic levels because your body tends to hold on to them and utilize them as you need it. A good example would be like vitamin D supplementation. It's really, I don't know if it's really easy to overdo. I think there's some studies being shown on that like we probably need more than we know. But the difference being, if you're getting sunshine, you can't overdose on vitamin D, but if you're taking it from a supplement, you can. Just be aware of that in case you are supplementing with any of those. I think vitamin D is probably a big one that a lot of us are probably not sufficient in, don't have enough of it. So supplementation may be necessary in that regard, along with some of these others. Then you have water soluble, vitamins B and C. Water soluble means they don't necessarily, we don't hold on to much water like that, so we don't hold on to much of those vitamins, and they're easily excreted out of our body through water. A good example of this would be like if you've ever taken a whole bunch of vitamin B and then your urine turns yellow, that's a water soluble vitamin. So it's really not hard to kind of overdo on these because any kind of excess will generally be wasted from your body. So we may need more of these just because they aren't stored in large amounts. Moving on from fat-soluble, water-soluble vitamins, that's generally it on that. Minerals is the next one. So what are minerals? We get minerals from the earth and from our water. Which means, okay, let me backtrack here. Get them from the earth, get them from water. They grow in the plants that we eat. Animals eat the plants. They transfer into the animals that we eat. This is where it gets really important to know where your food is coming from. This is why organic foods or vegetables and fruits are really important, because they have a better profile of minerals and vitamins than, say, just something sprayed with pesticide or not grown in quality soil. Soil content is really important, especially in organic foods, because it does transfer through the plant and into the animal. So if you're eating animals that aren't necessarily free-ranged or cage-free type stuff, and they're not eating foods that are, or grass or things in their environment that aren't necessarily quality harvested or sustained, then that all is going to translate over to you. That's why it's important to focus on that type of stuff, not having too much pesticides on our food and things like that, because it does run through into you. Minerals, you've heard them before. It's almost an exhaustive list of types of minerals, but we're talking about things like calcium, chloride, chromium, copper, iodine, iron, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, selenium, sodium, sulfur, zinc. That's the list that I have in front of me here. There's a few others, but let's just say what happens when you get an imbalance. I'll give you an example of this. You've been working out really hard and you start cramping. It's probably an electrolyte balance doing with sodium, potassium, magnesium, things like that. So that's why we have electrolyte drinks, to try to bring that balance back up. You get imbalanced, you see what happens when you get cramps. Now there's extremes to this where you get severe imbalances. There's a lot of different problems and bodily processes that can be affected by being imbalanced. So it's just something to think about. And that's something we can research. If you think you have any problems with that, or you're having some health issues, it's maybe something we can dive into. Of course, always check with your doctor. You can have simple tests done, blood tests, to see what you may be deficient in, or maybe have something in excess in, to help diagnose those issues. Again, you can do your research on this, and we can also dive into that, because there's so many different things that having an imbalance in vitamins and minerals can affect for you. So what's kind of been the common theme over these last few talks is quality nutrition, right? So as long as we kind of have a good balanced diet, if you recall in one of our past episodes, we started with the basis of protein, and I guess a focus of protein and vegetables, namely, some colorful vegetables, dark leafy greens. And this is where a lot of that stuff comes from, especially from good source meats and all that. There's starchy carbs and fat that have some of these things in them, but the good focus would be a quality protein source and always having a good dose of vegetable matter within each meal. Meaning we want to eat whole foods, minimally processed. So you're looking at stuff you actually have to cook. And that's going to be things, like I said, colorful fruits and vegetables. We have something that's very underappreciated is mushrooms. And they have all sorts of phytonutrients and minerals in them because they're grown directly from the earth, and they kind of isolate them all into that. Herbs and spices, lean proteins, eggs, things of that nature. If you're able to tolerate dairy, there's some good benefits from some vitamins and minerals in there. I guess that's mainly the reason why it's important to really focus on plants as the majority part. So if you recall, also, we talked about making your meal, protein, palm size of protein, and the vegetables should be like 1 to 2 fists of nice veggies. Always your focus. Make sure, best bet is organic on both of those in some form. And if you can't do that, then obviously the next best down, just make sure you clean them really good. You'll still get some of those compounds in there. It won't be as rich, but at least you'll still get some benefit. So I mentioned earlier how they're synergistic. There's things where some stuff works better with others and they kind of cross paths and they work really well with others. And another good example would be the electrolyte example that I gave earlier. But there's companies out there that capitalize off of dosing your body with high amounts of vitamins and minerals. A good example would be somebody like Juice Plus. That one kind of comes to mind. Or what was the other one? Kiani. And the purpose here is they give you a big burst of something that you don't have. So people that don't normally get these in their diets, they start taking this stuff, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I have so much energy. I feel so much better. When in reality, if you're taking care of yourself in the first place or eating a quality diet that's rich in vegetables and lean meats, you probably feel pretty good in general. As for supplementation, there's something to be said for filling the gaps with supplementation. I like a good multivitamin that has those things in it, maybe a good green supplement, but you shouldn't rely on the supplementation. Very similar to like whey protein or something like that. It's there to fill the gaps of something that you're not getting. And if you're eating something like pizza all the time or hamburgers and French fries or processed food, you're probably not getting those nutrients that you need, wherein a multivitamin would be very beneficial for you. I think it's still beneficial either way, as mentioned above or before about the quality of our foodstuffs that we are getting. They're probably not as rich as they can be, so still supplementing is probably a good idea. You need to probably consult with your doctor on that, just to be on the safe side. Make sure you don't have any of those imbalances or abundances, so you're not adding more of something that you're already getting plenty of. But again, if we're really focusing on trying to get some of that quality nutrition in, it's not as necessary, and you'll probably feel the effects a little bit better of just having a good nutrition program. So the last little point here with the same, that's kind of building off of that principle, is every person's going to be different. You know, you think about environmental factors, any kind of autoimmune disorders that may be poking up, or illnesses. It's going to require different amounts of different things across the board. So one specific recommendation on a supplement may not be necessary, where you might need a host of certain things. Again, this is where a multivitamin just comes in handy, just to give you a little extra dose of some of that stuff that you may be missing. It's health conditions, medications too. Certain medications may interact differently with certain vitamins that you're taking. So again, that's why it's a good reason to consult with your doctor, especially in the liver. There's certain things certain processes that happen in your liver that a medication could be blocking, or too much of one vitamin or mineral could be blocking the use of that medication. So especially if you're supplementing with stuff, it's still a good idea to get that checked out. And also absorption rates. Bodies are different, and we know that just based on working out in the gym, looking at people, how they move, how well they do certain things. So the fact that bodies are different will affect how everybody absorbs stuff. You can get tested on this again. Make sure, you know, it's just a simple test. You can ask your doctor for it. See if you can find some of that stuff. And that's really kind of all I had for that today. So pretty quick and simple. If you have any more questions on it, you can reach out to me personally, Brandon@grapevinecrossfit.com. Drop us a comment in here, send us an email, talk to us in the gym. We'd be happy to try to help you out, maybe diagnose some stuff that you're maybe having issue with, or talk to you about. I got somebody knocking on my door again. So y'all have a good day, and we will talk to you later.